Okay, so yesterday I forgot one big thing. Let's not forget Nintendo, because when I was talking at the end, I was talking about my future plans. I was just talking about the possibility that will I eventually get the new Xbox Series X console. I completely forgot about the possible Nintendo Switch Pro console, because let's face it, I think that will eventually come. As far as I know, Nintendo and their history uh, of consoles and different models, different versions of their many different versions of their handhelds, and well, mostly handhelds. There hasn't been really, many versions of home consoles other than the Switch Lite, which got released in about 2 years ago or something. But other than that, there hasn't really been actually many versions of their home consoles, just handhelds. But of course, Switch is both. It's hybrid, it's handheld, and it's home console. So it's kind of difficult to really categorize it. I would say to me it's home console, because I play so much more with the TV mode through my TV screen, and very little actually on the handheld mode. And also, so many games just runs better on TV mode. I've seen that on so many occasions. But yeah, and again, Coca-Cola Zero here. And some Pringles. Um, so yeah, will I get the Nintendo Switch Pro, the possible release of Nintendo Switch Pro? And I think if it comes, it will be at earliest the next holiday season, or early next year, or spring. I don't think it's come, because Nintendo hasn't announced anything yet. It's just rumors and speculations around the internet, speculating about the possible release of Switch Pro. But yeah, it depends on so many things. Will I get it or not? Well, most of all, it's going to be the price. And my prediction, my predictions for the price are that it's gonna cost about 100 euros more than the uh, basic Switch console. So about little over 400 euros, maybe 4 150 euros, but definitely not. I don't think it's going to be over 500 euros. No, it's not going to be in a same price category than PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. That would be just stupid because and perform. Let's talk about the possible performance of Pro, which also is a uh, big game changer for me, whether I get it or not. So I don't think it's going to be as powerful as PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. Maybe in the same line of Series S console. I don't know. But something tells me it's not going to be a huge step in performance over the basic normal Nintendo Switch. I think, of course, one thing is quite sure: it's capable of running 4K uh, to, through TV mode, of course, and yeah, probably HDR support. I'm quite sure. Yeah, because 4K and HDR pretty much goes hand in hand. Uh, so HDR support, 4K support on TV mode, and maybe a beefed up also. I don't think it's going to be using a different CPU or GPU. I think they are just going to be beefed up CPU and GPU probably. And maybe more RAM, because I think if it's capable of running 4K, I think it needs more RAM definitely. So maybe double the RAM, or yeah, I would guess like 8 gigabytes of RAM would be, or even 12. But I don't think it's going to be that huge of a jump because if I remember right, does Switch have 4 gigabytes of RAM, I think. So that's only a half of PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One comparing to those. So yeah, in that category, Switch was already uh, behind of last generation home consoles. Um, so yeah, it definitely needs more RAM. I would say, yeah, double the RAM, like 8 or even like 12 gigabytes. And the screen on the console itself, I don't think it needs to be that much bigger than it is right now. Maybe a 1 inch or something like that bigger, like 7 to 8 inch screen would be nice, but not bigger because it becomes a cumbersome, too awkward. I think it's if it's near 10-inch screen, it's going to be too big definitely for handheld mode. And I think the actual resolution of the screen will definitely be not 4K by any means, but yeah, 1080p, full HD, definitely. Or maybe even something in between, like uh, a little higher, like 1440p yeah, 1080p or 1440p, something like that. But yeah, this is just speculation. But yeah, it really, if it comes, it needs more RAM, higher resolution screen, beefed up CPU and GPU. Yeah, maybe a little bit bigger screen. Um, I guess it's still going to be using, like I said, it's not going to be using a different chip. So I think it's still going to be using NVIDIA's Tegra technology. Uh, but yeah, probably the newer Tegra chips. Like, if I remember right, the Switch uses Tegra X1. Yeah, I think. Anyway, yeah, definitely a newer chip from Tegra, but definitely I don't see them uh, changing to AMD, using AMD. So I'll definitely think that they will keep using the NVIDIA Tegra chips. Um, yeah, and also regarding the price, um, how much will, because I am, of course, if the Pro comes, I will be selling my normal Switch. So it depends on how much I will get uh, from my basic Switch in exchange for Pro model. So it really depends on how much money will I get from my Switch and how much money will I still have to pay for after that exchange for Pro. So if it goes like over, let's say over four, no, over three, if it goes over 300 euros after the exchange, it's going to be too much. So no, I'm in that sense, I'm not going to get it. Well, not day one, not on release anyway, but maybe still later. And also depends on how is my financial situation when the time comes. If the time comes, I would say more like when the time comes, when the Pro will be released. So yeah. Mm, what else? Mm, I think those are pretty much the things I wanted to talk about. Pretty much the, you know, speculation of the beefed up beefed up specs on the possible Pro, um, about the price, what it will be. But yeah, because I really love Nintendo Switch. It's my favorite Nintendo console of all of their consoles, including handhelds. So it's different. I mean, not different, wrong word. It's interesting. Yeah, that's the word. It's interesting to see how this speculation goes, and uh, when actually Nintendo is going to announce it. I think they will definitely wait for the big announcement. They are just not going to announce it out of the blue. Like it's going to be a big showcase of Nintendo where they finally reveal the Switch Pro. So yeah, definitely my future plans include the possible Nintendo Switch Pro. And let's see if the Pro comes before my PlayStation 5 arrives. I mean, it would be so. It's possible. I would say it's definitely possible, but that would just mean how fucking ridiculous it would be if I get goddamn Nintendo Switch Pro before PS5. That would be just beyond freaking ridiculous. And I'll stop here with these words. So, yeah, I should have remembered to, you know, speak about this in my gaming history video, but sometimes you just forget things. You forget shit. But actually, it's kind of good because that video ended up being maybe a little bit too long. So if I would include this, it would have been over 1 hour. So maybe it was for the better to do a separate video on this, because also there was so much more to talk about and speculate than of the already existing Xbox Series X console, which I just shortly mentioned, briefly mentioned that. So this was definitely also more interesting for me. Nintendo Switch Pro, and so I'm more interested about getting the possible Switch Pro than Xbox Series X. So yeah, enough babbling about this, just goes on and on. So as I said, this weekend on Sunday, Resident Evil 8 Village Castle area demo my thoughts video incoming. So see you.